What is going on, SoFi fans? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to give you a quick overview of the data points, what they're truly saying, and talk on the latest rumor that is floating around. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get right to it. So today it did close down roughly around 0.5%. Very volatile day, as you can tell right here. This one right here, this section is very much linked to shorting. So I'll touch on that in a second. But generally, it's still within the wedge bound, like I said, it would happen. So over my last couple of videos, I did say that most likely it's just going to be wedge bound between here, and the depending factors would be just either broader economic momentum, GDP numbers that did come out today, or PCE tomorrow. But with the GDP numbers, they kind of came in flat, a little bit off the forecast, but still nothing to potentially panic about. So there's still a lot of good momentum that's happening behind the scenes. So in reality, there's no real justification for SoFi to really break into this range right here. But I'm going to do a little bit more in-depth technical analysis. But based on the latest rumor, it does show that SoFi has acquired a top-rated mortgage lender and servicer. And of course, this could come with mixed feelings, especially with the whole finance sector right now, still very much full of cracks and rocky per se, which might not be necessarily the best time to add additional risk to SoFi. And it's kind of weird because based on the last couple of earnings, Anthony has really said that they're really content for the most part with the level of risk that they have. If anything, they're trying to mitigate any future risk or any damage potentially to SoFi. So the fact that they are doing this, kind of interesting. I don't know if they're just trying to compensate or overcompensate for potentially lost revenue from the whole student loan thing. Maybe that's just throwing that idea out there. Let me know your thoughts on this, because like I always say, bigger picture, this won't really mean too much. It's going to be a very big thing. It's going to just add to SoFi being the mega structure, mega company it's going to be in the future. But in the short term, I think it might be a little bit more too much additional risk. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys do your own due diligence. Let me know you guys' thoughts on that. On a side note, good old Michael Burry did say that he was wrong to say sell. So that might be good justification technically for a lot of acquisitions potentially, and for SoFi to potentially go up higher. As far as analyst ratings, the latest one was a week ago, and that one was from Mizuho. As you can see, $9 price target, and Dan Devole, if that's right, he has a 44% success rating and average return of -5%. So in general, not necessarily the best, but the price target is very positive considered to where SoFi is at right now. And as I've said in the past, it should realistically be at $8 at a minimum right now. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor, like I already said. As far as this, there is no definitive news, no SEC filings or anything like that for SoFi. So definitely it's just following more so rumors and just the broader market. But of course, I could be very much wrong. If you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, take a look at Seeking Alpha. I have a 7-day free trial, link in the description below and also the comments. So pop over there, take a look. As far as options activity, today was a nice change of events. So you do see $1.85 million in call premium versus $846,000 in put premium. And these ones stand out. So these two outliers. This is just either a big institution or either short that is hedging their bets. But based on the volume, it is fair to assume that most likely it was a big institution buying long term. And of course, based on this amount of call options, they're clearly optimistic about the future of SoFi. And looking right here as far as secondary market, there was only one big transaction today, and that was done after hours, $2.53 million. So of course, that's fairly positive and a little bit more in line with the average, as you can see right here. So generally, that's pretty good. Dark pool, I'll give you a quick overview of that. So dark pool transactions today was a little bit more active. So there was one at 1.02 million, and that's for the most part the large one, as you can see, but a little bit more volume than the previous days. So definitely something very active behind the scenes happening. And I'll give you a quick overview of shorts. So as I've said in the past, I don't see SoFi being a squeeze, at least unless something does change fundamentally, but I like to bring this up as a benchmark. So short score is currently 67, utilization is around 69%, and right now shorts did return 167,000 shares, cost to borrow complete pennies, as you can see the average being 0.58%, 10.74% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 85 million shares still. So definitely does have a lot of shares being shorted, and potentially if there's a massive positive catalyst for SoFi, there could be a squeeze, a small one, but most likely not. So again, it is what it is. The fact that they are returning on a red day, I see that as bullish on a side note. And looking as far as some of the fib levels, so currently $5.72, right below this S2. So currently trading between the S3 and the S2. And typically at this stage in the game, a lot of the negative stocks right now that are being suppressed in some regard are trading between this S3 and the S2. So just be aware of that. Not saying there's anything fundamentally wrong with SoFi, because I invest in SoFi, I like it, and the earnings speak for themselves. So in reality, I think it's just more so being artificially suppressed, which doesn't make sense in reality. I think it's just they get grouped in with a lot of the finance sector, and a lot of the brick and mortar banks right now are suffering clearly, as you can see based on a lot of the recent news, and SoFi just gets dragged into that unnecessarily in my opinion. But of course I could be wrong. Looking here, stochastic is currently at 48, so a little bit more neutral, has gone up from the oversold status. There is a nice deviation, so black line above the red showing a nice bullish sentiment is wanting to kind of be had behind the scenes. Momentum number retail investors are very much up today, so definitely a pretty positive thing there. But like I said, it's just going to be wedge bound between here until there's that good piece of news that does come out, whether it be broader economic or SoFi specific, that will be able to take it higher. And then most likely around that $6.30 range, that's where there's going to be another set of resistance points. Or on the flip side though, if PCE is very much negative, then it might actually trend down and break below this. I don't anticipate that happening given the circumstances in the market right now. I think we've reached a temporary bottom, as like I said, what Michael Burry recently said, saying that he was wrong to say sell. So I think here on out, it should be able to be trending higher. And no matter what though, when you are investing in SoFi, you have to think long term, because it's trying to disrupt one of the oldest sectors in the whole stock market. So that's not an easy task by any means. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time for SoFi to be accepted by the whole finance sector. And I know that kind of sounds bad because they've been having phenomenal earnings, back to back earnings. But still, at this stage in the game, it's just a little bit more of a waiting game. And eventually, once they do start to hit their good targets and get a little bit more analysts on board with them, this is where you will see a nice transition of shorts getting out, and hopefully a little bit more better price targets when it comes down to analyst ratings. But once again, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.